this is the Derby Jail. Now, this place is owned by Richard Felix.
Well, this is a jail, not a prison.
What's the difference?
The difference is quite subtle, but you were brought here pending trial. This wasn't a place you were brought as a punishment, which is what a prison is.
Yes.
So, if you were brought here accused of a crime anywhere in Derbyshire,
Yes.
you were brought here and chucked in a cell. And you had to wait for your assize trial, which is 4 times a year: spring, autumn, summer, winter. And you were prosecuted depending on what you did. And if you were found guilty, and you would be found guilty, you had one of 4 punishments. You could be branded with the letter T,
Meaning?
thief usually,
Okay.
on the palm of the hand or the forehead, something like that. It's an early form of CRB check. You try and go into a jeweller's shop with a letter T branded on your forehead.
So you'll never be able to work again, really?
Effectively, yeah, they knew what they were doing. And then, of course, you could be flogged. Either in the garden here, which I can show you later on, or if they wanted to embarrass you and humiliate you, they'd put the whipping cross on a cart and tie you to that, and then ride you round the 5 churches of Derby,
Okay.
and you'd be flogged as you went. We did this in York as well. And you'd be flogged until your back was bloody. And then they'd bring you back here, they'd throw salt all over the wounds. This was meant to be a healing process, but obviously the net result of that was pretty bad.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they throw you in a cell for 7 days for you to heal. And if they thought you'd been punished suitably, they let you go.
Right.
But if they didn't, they think you could have used a bit more,
You'd stay here a bit longer.
you'd be back on the cart.
No.
And you wouldn't survive that. You wouldn't survive it twice. The last punishment, of course, was what this jail was notorious for, and it was hanging.
And they actually hanged people here.
Oh, yes.
They did.
56 people hanged here.
Right.
You do the white steps you came in, just to the left of there was where the gallows was erected each time.
Well,
56 people hanged themselves there, but 2 people hanged themselves in here.
in this room here.
Not, well, that room there, because that was a completed wall, so was the end.
Right.
So that was a cell there, you see.
Okay.
And that beam just above you,
Yeah.
2 men hanged themselves there on the morning of which they were meant to be hanged
Yes.
outside.
And why would they do that?
To cheat the hanging.
So to have the control, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And they were called the Jones brothers. They're spectres, ghosts, whatever you like,
Yeah.
can be found in that room. And they'd use their strides to make makeshift nooses, and they hang themselves nose to nose, almost touching. And they were only literally 2 or 3 inches off the floor.
Yeah.
Well, this caused a bit of a stir. They brought in, would you believe, the Surgeon General to this jail.
Did they?
Now, you never got a medical person in here. All you had was the turnkey with a mirror,
Yes.
and they put it over the mouth. And if it steamed up, you were still alive.
Right.
And if it didn't, they chucked you outside and buried you.
Okay.
But they brought in the Surgeon General. And because, well, basically, you've got 6,000 people queuing up outside to watch it handling.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're not going to be very happy.
No.
So they brought in the surgeon, and he came along and he brought in his best quality leeches. Not the cheap old ones they have these days in haematology, but the best quality ones. And they, he bled them to try to revive them. Now, for some strange reason, it didn't work. We don't know exactly how they resolved it, but we know it involved policemen and soldiers on horseback charging at crowds to disperse them. Exactly how, I do not know. It's not recorded. But they must have done it. But the Jones brothers, Benjamin and John Jones, they hanged themselves there. And what we're told by the paranormal groups that come here is whenever they put in their meters and ghost detectors, and they put them in there, and they go off like.
Does that?
And they do seances and things like that. But if you do it in here, you'll sometimes get the glass to go. If you do it in there, you get
The red. It comes up red, does it?
it comes up like yeah. As I said, I recommend you. Well, it's one of the things.
Try and tell it.
Try it out. Yeah, you have to bring your team here and bring them out and bring them in.
But you have a light here.
Well, this isn't a condemned cell finish. This is a dentist cell.
That's a silver.
So you could have had up to 12 people in here.
12?
And standing room only. No segregation. In those days, we were quite philosophical about life. A crim was a crim. Male, female, young, old, adult, child. Well, not child really, but sane or insane. First 12, in you go. Shut the door, lock it in. And you were here for 23 hours a day. As I said earlier, that if you had a skill, it was possible to earn your way out. Polly here would have been quite successful with a gentleman.
Right.
Seamstress, tailor, somebody that could read and write, all had opportunities to earn their money to get out of here.
Yes.
Everybody else, tough. And you'd think that was it. Old age and depravity would take them out. Nah. The biggest killer in this jail was something called jail fever. Typhus, typhoid, spread by fleas and rats and lice. But they didn't know that.
No.
So you put one person in here that's infected with the fleas and lice, with 11 others, and 24 hours later they've all got it,
Yes.
and 3 months later they're all dead.
Yes.
And then they got buried out there,
Yeah.
where those box of flats had been built. And guess who buried them? Prisoners in the next cell,
Did they?
who then got fleas and lice. And
The same again.
as many as 1,500 people may have died that way in this jail. And they're all buried down here. They dug a hole, filled it with quicklime, took the bodies in, covered it up, and then 3 months later you can dig the same hole because there's nothing left. Plug some more in. But I want you to have a look at this carving on that door. It says, I Taylor from Meersham for a £10 debt in 1807. And that is carved into solid oak, and part of it is in joined up writing. Could you do that?
No.
Do you know anyone that could do that?
No.
Well, he or she could.
So how much would £10 be in that time, roughly?
1,000.
What is
And I would always say when I come in here that everything inside the cabinet or cabinets is a genuine artefact. And as you're nice and tall, there's a switch on that wall. Would you like to turn it on? Everything outside the cabinets is a representation of.
So this was a person.
Oh yes. Now what I would say is we've lost 2 of the cabinets. So some of the genuine artefacts are up here and on that wall. So, but yes, for those observant of you, this young lady, we think was about 14 years old, and 270 years ago, she was as you are now. And in 270 years' time, you will be as she is now. The skull at the bottom there was found at Tutbury Castle. The dog walking there dug it up. And they didn't really know what to do with it. They knew we had the skeleton, so they brought it here.
Mm.
The curator of Tutbury Castle at the time was called Leslie Smith. And obviously there's a big connection between her and Richard Felix. And first of all, it's called a bride's skull or a skull's bridle, depending on which part of the country you come from. And it was there for a humiliation tool. It was used for a man who had a talkative wife. It's got a spike that goes in and suppresses the tongue if they can't talk.
Yeah.
They made him walk around in public with that. Medieval.
Yes.
Exact date unknown. Torture device known as a heretic's fork.
So you can't lower your head down.
That's right.
Yeah. And what would be,
Sleep deprivation.
so it's psychological, yes?
Well, much more, because torture was illegal in England, now on compulsory in Scotland. That is Scottish. It's not from the Spanish Inquisition, or where it originated from.
No.
That was 1700s from Scotland. And it was only used on men, of course.
Yes.
I don't know why we've got it on a female mannequin. Never used on females. Men owned land, men owned title, men were religious priests, men had information. It was used on men. Yeah? Basically, if you're wearing that, you cannot move your head down.
No.
If you fall asleep, you do something nasty. It was designed specifically for that.
And that's an original, is it?
That's from about 1700.
Okay.
Originally, they would have been from 12 to 1300,
Yeah.
from,
Okay.
and they'd be Spanish from the Catholic Inquisition.
Right.
But that's the Scottish one. It's no different. Point out the 3 heads.
Yeah. The top ones, yeah?
Yeah, not the silly little plastic skeleton things. I don't know why that's there. It's no relevance to reality. But the 3 face masks are death masks of 3 men that were executed at the other jail in 1843. They were known as the Hege men because they came from Hege. Well,
Is that like a little village? Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. But if you look at the one on the right, look around his neck. Have a good look.
It's like a hangman's noose type thing.
You can actually see the marks.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, they are first copies. And the reason for that is we had the originals. But when New Scotland Yard moved about 22 years ago, and they found out that we had these,
Yes.
they came along and said, you can't have those.
Why?
They belong in the Black Museum,
Oh, okay.
which is a police museum in London. And they told us that in 14 days' time they were coming to pick them up. We didn't have a say in the matter. So Richard went out, made those copies, and he put them in the drawer that used to be there. It's now covered up.
Mm-hmm.
The police came along, or the police representative came along, took the original masks, said thank you very much, and before they got to the motorway, we had those ones back up on them.
Okay. And do you know what sort of crime they committed?
Oh, murder.
Murder, was it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. They bludgeoned Margaret Crowfoot in a home in 1843.
Yeah.
She was an elderly lady, and
So they were robbing the property, were they?
I assume so, but they bludgeoned to death with an iron hook or a crowbar.
Did they?
And it wouldn't have taken much, would it?
No.
And they, Walsall, Hume, and Bland. Now, if you look at the one in the middle, look how thin he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you look at the picture of the one next to him, the chubby one, looks like me. I'll say it before you do. The reason he's chubby is not because he was chubby. It's because when they hanged you,
You bloated up, didn't
he
you?
bloated with all the blood moving around the head at 102 miles an hour. And that's why he appears chubby. Because there were over 200 offences for which you could be hanged in this country, which was basically everything.
Mm.
Stealing forms to murder.
Yeah.
And then we take this tip here. Joseph Wealdon. Now, what this chap did was he was left in charge of his 8-year-old niece and 6-year-old nephew.
Mm.
And he slashed them to death with a gauze hook. It's a hedging tool. The little boy put up a struggle, so he so severely attacked the boy that he virtually decapitated him but for the sinews of his neck.
Did he?
Now, in my personal opinion, this man deserved to hang.
Mm.
Guy that poached the rabbits? Maybe not so much. Do you
Yeah.
think Lord Scargill knew how many rabbits he had on his estate?
No.
Think he ever ate rabbit?
No.
But that was how it was. And the government thought this is becoming a problem. So in 1752, they brought out the Murder Act, the Black Act, as it was known. And basically they got together with the church and they decided between them that for the offence of murder, hanging was not enough. These people had to be punished way beyond killing them. So what punishment could possibly be worse than death? So, they brought down powers that no murderer was allowed to be buried. So,
Unconsecrated ground, isn't it?
we're allowed to be buried. There would be no laying to rest.
No.
You see, everybody those days, whether they were crims or not, were devoutly religious.
Mm.
And they believed in the afterlife. They believed in when they died, they got 6 foot of earth, a gravestone, prayers said over the grave. They were laid to rest. So that come the day of resurrection, when St. Peter blows his trumpet and calls everyone to heaven, they would go to heaven.
Mm.
The church says, no, we're not going to do that. The government said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to afford them that luxury. If you commit murder, we're going to do one or two things. We're going to hang you until you're dead. We're either going to put you in a gibbet like that one and hang you, suspend it 30 feet in the air above the point for which you committed the murder.
Mm.
And that's a representation of Anthony Lingard, who committed murder and was sentenced to be gibbeted. And he was suspended on the High Street in Derby for 11 years.
Was he?
For the fowls and birds of the air.
To peck at him.
Yeah. Time they took him down 11 years later, all was left was a little bit of rag.
Yeah.
Nothing left. But there was worse than that. The other alternative was human dissection. We had in Downby at the time a man called Erasmus Darwin. Fantastic name. Erasmus Darwin. Just rolls off the tongue. Amazing name. And he was a surgeon who knew an awful lot about anatomy, which he shouldn't have done for 1780.
No. Okay.
So it is rumoured, and I have to say this carefully because there is an Erasmus Darwin Society, that he may have been involved with 2 gentlemen who worked night shifts
Back in hair.
of the same type.
Yeah.
And what they did was they would go to the graveyard at night with wooden spades, so not to make a noise. They would dig down above the head of where the coffin was, dig a straight shaft, smash the coffin, and then they would send a little boy with a rope down the shaft to tie it around the body.
Pull it up.
They pulled up the body and they took the shroud off and put it back in the coffin. That was very important because that would have been theft if they had kept the shroud, and they would have been hanged for that.
Yes.
But stealing the body, no, you can get away with that.
Body snatching, wasn't it?
And that's what they did. And he may have been involved. It certainly went on in Derby. Whether it was him or not, I don't know. But I have to say I probably forgive this man a lot because he was a philanthropist. He gave money left, right and centre to the poor. He was an abolitionist. And sadly, he died in 1805, 2 years before we actually did abolish slavery.
Yes.
So, but he was up there with Seaborn Roundtree and people like that. William Wilberforce. It was that sort of level. But he was a surgeon and he dissected people. So the first thing he did after he got a hanged person was you put them on the trestle like this. And then you got some wires. And you tied them to the toes and the fingers. And gentlemen, they tied them somewhere else as well. And then you got the big crank of this magneto, turned it and turned it and turned it and drove electricity through the body. And the body goes, it was called galvanism.
What was the point of that?
They wanted to test whether electrical impulses could be controlled. There was various scientific principles. And I suppose originally you wanted to see if they could bring them back.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, how close were they?
Very close, weren't they, to get to it? Oh.
And in 1825, a young lady wrote a book.
Yeah, Shelley.
On the preface of the book, it says, dedicated to theories of Galvanism by Dr. Erasmus Darwin of Derby. And it's in there now, go and read it.
Okay.
And she wrote Frankenstein and all the rest of it, right? After he'd done that, he peeled the body. I mean, peeled it, took the skin off. And that skin was sent to the tannery to make leather, to bind books.
No.
And if you ever look at that piece of paper which is fallen on the floor, which I can't possibly get,
That is
a book made of human skin. And if that's the one I'm thinking it is, it's actually got part of the bloke's ear on there. Or the tattoos from his arms, chest.
Oh, that's his arm. Yeah, with the tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's what the skin was used for, to bind books and tell stories of your life. Then they took out all the organs and examined them, burnt them or fed them to the dog, and they sent the skeleton to a skeleton maker to produce this.
right.
And they gave them to the teaching hospitals and universities. And the older teaching hospitals and universities today still have
Those
skeletons
right.
of hanged, dissected people. How about that?
Recycling.
Well, yeah, absolutely spot on. You got purpose for it. The upshot was there was nothing left.
No.
No burial, no laid to rest, no blowing of horns for St. Peter.
No.
So where are they? Well, the church has denied them going to heaven.
So they're in the.
So this is, you've got to remember, this is what they believed.
Yes.
They were so terrified of this.
Yeah.
They were being denied going to heaven.
So I thought that was in hell.
So what happens to the spirit? Can't get it up there. Where's it going to go?
Down to hell. What?
How hot? 10,000 degrees? How long? Eternity? With gnashing of teeth and chewing of flesh? Yeah, but they believed it.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what we believe.
No.
They believed it.
Yeah.
Hook, line and sinker.
Yes.
So where are they? Well, this can't get on up there, and I'm not going down there.
No.
Hang on, just a quick question. Do they believe in limbo, ghosts walking the earth, that kind
They
of stuff?
did, and they do, and that is why we have ghosts.
Yes.
And in this particular room, we have a little ghost.
Called.
Well, I've got to get my dates right. I think it's 1870. Fuddled. I think it was 1817. A young lady by the name of Hannah Bocking. She was 16 years old. And she poisoned her love rival, Jane Grant. She put arsenic in her cake and fed it to her at tea time. Jane obviously died of arsenic poisoning. Hannah was brought here, tried at the Shire Hall, and sentenced to hang in front of 6,000 people out there. She was 4'9" tall. She was nowhere she was fully grown. 16 years old.
Mm.
Her attire apparently was inappropriate for being hanged.
Mm.
So they actually made her a long skirt which came down below her feet, so that when she was dangling on the rope, nobody could look up at it.
No.
So they weren't worried about killing a little girl, but the proprietaries had to be correct.
Yes. Would you?
Well, do you know what they did afterwards? They put her on a cart, they drove her back to the Shire Hall, they laid her on one of these trestles, stripped her naked but for a loincloth, and let 500 men ogle her while she was being dissected.
No.
But let 6,000 people see your ankles? No, not going to do that. And her ghost
It's here.
is here. Now, if you ever do come here for info, yeah, turn the lights out, leave all your equipment, your phones, your meters, just leave it out there, get rid of it, and just sit quietly
Here.
in this corner, somewhere here,
Yes.
and just sit quietly, alone. That's all.
And she'll come to you.
Something might. Now you've got things like countdowns.
Yes.
Now is that a countdown or a count up? How long we've been here or how long we've got to go? We don't know. The initials, names, hangman, compasses. How about this? A compass.
Yes.
Well, you see, they believed the evil spirits were stupid. So if they went in somewhere, they needed a corner to hide in.
Yes.
So if they were in a perfect circle, there were no corners for them to hide. All these letters you can see there, well, it looks like W. Well, they're not a W. There was no W in the English language. It's actually VV,
Yes.
Virgin of Virgins, the Mother Mary. You'll also say, over here you'll see J and M for Jesus and Mary.
Yes.
Yeah. They were called witch mark, apothopeic marks from the Greek. No entry past this point. Because these people were devout, as I said earlier, and they believed in evil spirits.
Yes.
And they were scared of it. So much so that they would put up all these witch marks, as they call them,
To protect themselves.
protect themselves.
Yeah.
Will not pass this point. And on here, one of the best witch marks I've seen anywhere in the country, but you'll see on the top of the door.
Oh yeah.
We think that's the finest example of a witch mark anywhere in the country.